Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Sam, the game professor.
And no Maddie this week, but this week we will be discussing... What all parts are we discussing, Bernard?
We're discussing Rocket Town, Wutai, and The Return to Gold Saucer.
Dope. And as a reminder, we're playing the most popular game of all time and selling out hard so that we can get your eyes over on our poll to choose our next game between Skies of Arcadia and Paper Mario, which are Bernard's auto-RPGs. And we've gotten like one more vote since last time, also for Skies of Arcadia. So it is definitely winning. And if you are a Paper Mario stan, you should go and get a bunch of your friends to vote for it and help us pay for things. So while you head on over to www.rpgbook.club and vote on our next game, how was everybody's week?
I finished my old job and I haven't started my new job yet, so I am just chilling.
That sounds great.
It's pretty great.
What flavor of chillin' are you doing? Are you doing things that you enjoy that take up a lot of time, or are you doing as much nothing as possible? Because those are two different ways to chill.
I'm spending some time working on my visual novel, and I'm spending some time playing video games and listening to Rude Tales of Magic, and which is a really good podcast, better than this podcast. And then also napping.
Napping is great.
It is great.
Yeah. Speaking of Rude Tales of Magic, that's a actual play, right?
Yes.
I have joined the actual play phenomenon this week with Dimension 20. And I'm watching the most recent season. I've been wanting to watch it for a while, but there's like 16 fucking seasons, and each episode is like 3 hours long. So it's like, it's a big commitment for someone who doesn't have a lot of time. But because I've been doing a lot of cross stitching for various Christmas presents, I have needed things that I can do mostly by listening. So I heard about episode 3 of the current season, which spoilers if you managed to not hear about it and aren't watching it, but the entire party died in episode 3 of the season. There's usually like 20 episodes. So they died hard, and it wasn't like super unfair or anything. They just like got a whole bunch of bad rolls at the worst time and got the first total party kill in the series history. And when I was reading, I think Polygon did a write-up about it, about how it hadn't ever happened before or whatever. And they were talking about the setting that they're doing, which is like a horror take on like fairy tales and stuff like that. So like the party members are Sleeping Beauty, Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, the Frog Prince, Little Red Riding Hood, and Mother Goose. I think that's everyone. Yes, and they're all like, the world that they're in is basically like the apocalypse has already happened to the fairy tale world, and it's super duper interesting. And I am liking it a lot more than I thought I would. Like I like Dungeons and Dragons and I like podcasts, so you would think that actual play would be up my alley, but it never seemed like something I could actually get into. But I have been thoroughly enjoying these first couple episodes of the new season.
Oh, that's the one with Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Yeah.
He's fun.
He's a real good DM as well. Like I I've always thought that I was a pretty good DM, and then I watched him go, and I'm like, I'm kind of shitty, actually.
I mean, he is literally a professional
Yes.
at it, so it's okay if he's better than you, since you're not a professional.
Yeah, he's probably the second most famous. Like Matt Mercer for Critical Role is probably the most famous, and Brandley Mulligan is probably number 2. So I shouldn't compare myself to the number 2 in the world, yet I do. So I'm not good. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Since I'm already talking, the other thing that happened to me this week is my toothaches never got any better.
Ooh.
Like the entire week. I was basically out of commission the whole week, and it sucked real bad. And so I think I had said last time that I went to get my consultation to get my wisdom teeth out, and they can't get me until January 13th. And I was getting real like depressed that I was going to have to live like this for a month. So I called my dentist, and I went up and saw her, and she got me on some antibiotics to fight the infection, which is what was probably causing all my toothaches. And today has been so much better. So I can probably last until January now. I'm still doping up every 3 hours because I missed one earlier today, and then like I tried to chew something and I wanted to kill myself. In the millennial way, not right. not actually doing it. I accidentally said I wanted to kill myself in the millennial way to like a therapist once, and I was like, no, just the way that like all of that. This is just a thing we say.
Oh gosh,
but not actionable.
I will say that's a younger millennial thing. I'm an older millennial, and it's very foreign to me.
No,
it took me a while. Like I befriended someone at one point who said that a lot, and it took me a while to realize, oh, I don't need to worry for them as much as I.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still doping up every 3 hours and taking my penicillin 3 times a day. But like, I've been chipper. I cleaned the house today. Like,
nice.
Things are great. Saturday, I laid on the couch for the entire 24 hours of Saturday, and I did not have to do that today, and it's been great. So shout outs to dentists that actually care about me. I also talked to him about the fact that it was going to financially ruin me, and they revealed that like they don't give a shit if I make some sort of payment every month. They're not going to like
send you to debtor's prison,
charge me interest, or send me to debtor's prison or anything like that. So if I just set a reminder in my phone to be like, hey, on payday, go and give them $100 or whatever, I can.
Oh, that's nice.
I won't get destroyed, which is awesome.
Nice. Love to not get destroyed.
Me too. What about you, Sam?
Well, haven't done a whole lot more than what I said I was doing last week. Honestly, I have edited more of the video I'm working on. I have played more Disco Elysium, which continues to be as fantastic as everyone says. I mean, it is getting to Christmas time, which, since I work part-time at a childcare center, means that a bunch of the rich parents give us teachers like gift cards and stuff. So that stuff's starting to pour in, and I'm going to enjoy spending that money. I also got a Steam gift card among those things, and I'm trying to decide whether to put it toward Pentiment or Signalis, because I've heard incredible things about both.
Boots Quest DX.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'll look at it.
It's really good.
Okay.
First, Sam, you mentioned that one of the characters was Puss in Boots, and when I talked about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio a while back. Did I talk about the Puss in Boots trailer?
You did not.
Think so?
But...
Oh. Well, maybe not then.
Well, all it is there's this new Puss in Boots movie coming out, Shrek spinoff. And the trailer, like the writing and stuff, looks like typical kids movie fare, but the animation is insane.
It looks really good.
It's fucked up how good the animation is.
I mean, what it really comes down to is that ever since Spider-Verse came out, CG movies have been slowly starting to figure out that they can do some really cool stuff if they combine CG and 2D. That's how we got like Mitchell's versus the Machines and Klaus and such. So, it learned some lessons, and Puss in Boots looks really cool visually.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. It freaked me out, so I just had to mention that.
Yeah, I love the fact that, like you said, since Spider-Verse, people are realizing that 3D animation is animation and not fake real life.
Right.
And they've stopped trying to be fake real life and are actually animating for basically the first time since the medium has come out. And that's not to say that like Pixar movies and stuff like that aren't good, but like they didn't really do anything animation-y. And now we're getting that, and it's real cool.
In its defense, I would say that the work of Phil Lord and Christopher Miller has been relatively on track for that. Things like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or the Lego Movie have been much more animated, expressive in that way. But yeah, I absolutely see what you're saying, and it has been great to see this like shift.
Yeah, I think, ironically, Lego Movie achieves animation stuff by striving for realism in a way that other Lego properties didn't. So it's like,
I guess that's true, actually. Yeah,
it was realistic looking Lego, but that ended up being like in a very animation thing to do.
Yeah,
but it's animation's good again, and I'm excited.
Speaking of movies, one thing I did this past week is I had a double feature movie night with a friend where we watched Predator 1987. And you know how a lot of 80s movies where people are just like, that's a dumb 80s action movie, but actually it's a great work of art? This isn't that. It's just, it's pretty dumb. It's not very good.
I was ready, because I saw that ages ago and didn't like it, and I was ready to have to be like, well, I guess I should rewatch Prey, but no, okay.
No. But what you should watch is Prey 2022. That movie fucking rules.
I've heard it's fantastic.
It looks so fantastic. Good. Ever since I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, I don't even like Predator, but I have to watch that.
Yeah, the lead actors are so good, and the French get totally owned.
You'd love to see it. You know what I love to see is crappy little polygon Lego guys from Final Fantasy VII.
I love to see them do a little spin, and we get to see that this week.
Heck yeah. Let's listen to 28 seconds, no more, of Final Fantasy VII music, and then we'll talk about the plot. Bernard, take it away.
The gang continues to Mount Nebel, where nothing happens. On the other side of the mountain, they come across a small town with a giant space rocket in the middle. The gang snoops around town and finds a plane called the Tiny Bronco. Cloud says it's cool. Aerith wants to steal it. A woman named Shara walks up and is like, can I help you? Cloud's like, haha, we weren't going to steal your plane. Shara says if they want to use the plane, we should ask the captain, who is off in the rocket. The gang introduces themselves, and Shara is surprised that they're not from Shinra. She thought they would be from Shinra, here to discuss restarting the space program. President Rufus is scheduled to visit today, and the captain's been restless all morning. The gang heads to the rocket and finds an old, 32 years old to be exact, man stomping around inside. He confirms that he's the captain and introduces himself as Sid.
Master
He is
Roshi.
great. Yes.
Because he's old.
I'm having a crisis now because this is the first time that I've heard Sid referred to as old since I have been older than Sid. And I hate it.
Yep.
Okay. All his dreams are dead already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm big into Doctor Who, and this week they did the costume reveal for the new Doctor and Companion, and they're both Gen Z. And when they came on, my guttural instinct was like, these are children.
Mm-hmm.
A 1,200-year-old time and space alien is a child to me, and that felt very weird.
They need to all be Peter Capaldi from now on. Just all be some bitter old man that I can feel younger than.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, but Sid is 32 years old, and he is an old 32 years old.
Sorry about the midlife, the 1/3 life crisis going on here. Continue.
Cloud and Sid chat. Sid has a lot to say about himself. He's thrilled that Rufus is coming, as he assumes it must be about restarting the space program. He says Shinra developed a lot of crazy technology during that meaningless war with Wutai, and were even planning manned spaceflight. They chose Sid, the finest pilot in the world, to head the mission. But because of that dumbass Shara, this launch was a failure and the space program was eventually retired, killing Sid's dreams of being the first man in space. Once Shinra figured out how to turn Mako into money, they didn't think about space ever again. Sid's only hope is that this new president will want to bring the space program back. Oh, also, no, the gang absolutely may not take the tiny Bronco. The gang returns to Shara, and Sid follows close behind. He hollers at Shara for not getting their guests tea. Cloud's like, it's okay. Sid's like, sit your ass in that chair and drink your goddamn tea. He says he'll be out tuning up the tiny Bronco and leaves. The gang turns to Shara and is like, that guy sucks and is abusive at you. She says it's because she's the one who destroyed his dream. We see a flashback to the launch day. Shara is performing some redundant safety checks in the rocket's engine section, and Sid tells her to chill out. He heads up to the rocket's cockpit to prepare for takeoff. But as the countdown starts, an alarm sounds, and ground control informs Sid that there's still someone in the engines. It's Shara. Sid radios in and asks what the fuck she's doing. She says she got some unsatisfactory results from her tests, so she's staying behind to fix things, but they should go ahead with the launch. Sid's like, you will fucking die if we do that. Shara says that's fine as long as the mission is a success. The time to launch counts down, 30 seconds left. If they don't launch now, they won't have another opportunity for 6 months. Shara is still in the engine room. The rocket starts to lift off, but Sid engages the emergency shutdown and the rocket falls back down and leans over precariously. Present Shara says the space program suffered cutbacks and was retired after that. That's why she'll take his abuse. Sid walks back in and is like, why the fuck do our guests still not have tea? Palmer, who we might remember was head of the space program, walks in. Sid's like, hey, fatty, when's the space program starting back up? Palmer says to go outside and ask Rufus. Sid rushes out the door. The gang follows from a distance. Even though they're standing like directly in front of Rufus, they're at a distance so Rufus can't see them.
Yes.
They overhear Rufus ask Sid to borrow the tiny Bronco. That's the whole reason for their visit. They aren't restarting the space program.
Which, can I just say, I find it so hard to believe that Shinra doesn't have a fucking little biplane. Like, so like, hey, random dude who worked for us once, we need to borrow your plane? Like, they have ways to cross the ocean. I It's not the kind of plot hole that's like a big deal or anything. It just I find it very silly.
See, I figure maybe Rufus and company, they took the ship across the ocean. They've been traveling here, and now they're just like, well, fuck, we need to follow Sephiroth really fast. The fastest way would be to get the plane that Sid has nearby.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I think that works.
I hope they don't, like, shoot it so it can't fly anymore.
That would suck.
That'd be stupid.
It would turn into a really bad boat.
Yeah, wouldn't help them much.
Rufus says they've been chasing Sephiroth, but it seems they've been heading in the wrong way up until now. They think they know where he's going, but they need the plane to cross the ocean. Sid is pissed off. Shara pulls the gang back inside and says Palmer's going to take the tiny Bronco, and they should confront him if they want to use it instead. The gang heads out back and is like, hey, Palmer, that's our plane. Palmer's like, do I know you? Wait, I do. Fuck. Palmer pulls out a gun and attacks. The battle is not hard and ends with Palmer getting hit by a truck, which shows up for no particular reason. The gang hops on the tiny Bronco and finds it's already starting to take off. They hold on as the plane takes to the sky. The tiny Bronco flies down over the town square where Rufus and Sid still are. Sid runs very fast and hops aboard. But Rufus's guard shoots out the tiny Bronco's tail and it falls into the ocean.
Who could have predicted that?
Sid says it won't fly anymore, and Cloud asks if they could still use it as a boat. Sid's like, sure, I guess, whatever. Cloud asks Sid what he'll do. Sid doesn't know. He's history with Shinra and has given up on the village. Cloud asks if his wife, Shara, will be okay. Sid's like, that woman is not my wife. Let's be clear about that. He asks Cloud what his group's doing. Cloud says he's going after Sephiroth and will probably have to take down Rufus at some point too. Sid's like, sounds fun. I'm in. He says Rufus mentioned something about Sephiroth going to the Temple of the Ancients. Cloud asks where that is, and Sid is like, I don't fucking know. Go wander around until you find it. So the gang wanders around, but before they find the Temple of the Ancients, they find their way into a silly side quest. On the western continent, Yuffie stops the party and says she knows the area well, and it's dangerous, so they should prepare. Then some Shinra goons show up, yelling about, it's him! But then they realize the party isn't the him they're looking for, but Cloud and company. The party's like, what the fuck, Yuffie? She's like, I don't know, this one has nothing to do with me. And the party's like, what the fuck do you mean this one? Anyway, the Shinra goons attack and Yuffie runs off. After the fight, the party realizes their materia is missing. Barrett runs up and says the rest of the gang's materia is gone too. Yuffie stole it. God damn it.
Can I just say I love the idea that Yuffie would be like, hey, you need to prepare, and the player would like go in and painstakingly make sure that all of their materia is like put on all the characters exactly the way they want, and their builds are all perfect, and then they're gone immediately afterwards.
The party pursues to kick Yuffie's ass and get the materia back. They spot Yuffie in the Japanese-style city of Wutai. While pursuing her, they run into Reno, Rude, and Alina in the tavern. Alina's ready to fight the party, but Rude and Reno are like, chill, we're off duty, we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves here. The party's like, okay, and leaves. They snoop around town looking for Yuffie. They find their way into a large house, where they meet a sleepy guy named Gato. They ask him about Yuffie, and he claims to have never heard of her. After they talk to him a few more times, he's like, look, what's your deal? If you're with Shinra, please leave. Yuffie shows up and calls Gato a coward for not wanting to stand up to Shinra. She says the gang is actually fighting Shinra. They bicker, and he's like, rah, you're my daughter and you suck. And she's like, rah, you're my father and you suck. Gato chases Yuffie out of the house, and the gang is like, okay. The party searches around town to find Yuffie again and eventually corners her. Dejected, she admits defeat and says she'll give back the materia. She leads them to her home. Meanwhile, we cut to the Turks in the tavern. Some Shinra goons run in and are like, aha, you are here, Turks. We've found him, but we'll need your assistance. Reno and Rude are like, no way, deal with him yourself. The goons leave. Alina's like, we gotta do our job. Reno says, people who sacrifice everything for their jobs aren't professionals. They're just fools. Alina's like, it has been well established that I'm a fool, and runs off without them.
And all this him build up is going to be real disappointing, I feel like, in terms of who him is.
Mm-hmm. Back with the party, a despondent and guilty Yuffie leads the party to the basement of her home. She tells the sad story of how her proud nation of Wutai has become nothing but a tourist trap after getting their ass kicked by Shinra. She thought if she could get a bunch of materia, they could fight back. Cloud's like, okay, but we gotta use that materia to save the world. Yuffie says to pull a lever on the wall to get the materia. Cloud pulls the lever, and a cage falls over the other party members. It was a trap. Yuffie's like, tough luck, the materia's mine, bitch. She runs off. Cloud flips the switch again to raise the cage. The party runs around Wutai until eventually they find a secret passage. Inside, they see a ninja carrying Yuffie away. The ninja brings her to Don Corneo? The Don is like, hell yeah, I got myself not one, but two new ladies.
Yuffie, like, 14 or some shit? Like,
what?
Isn't Yuffie, like 14 or 15 or something?
I think so.
Fucking creep.
Yeah.
Cloud's like, two ladies? Then they see a ninja carrying Alina. The Don and his ninjas run off and the gang pursues. They're stopped by some Shinra goons and the Don gets away. The party runs into Rude and Reno, who are pursuing the Don to save Alina. Since they're both after the Don, they agree to stay out of each other's way and have a temporary truce while they search for him. The party eventually finds him on a mountain path, where he has Alina and Yuffie tied to a cliff for some reason. The party's like, stop right there, you pervert. We just remembered that Yuffie's like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Barrett calls the Don a lowlife hyena, which is great. The Don is about to tell the tragic story of how he suffered since the Wall Market episode, and Cloud's like, whatever, we're gonna fucking kill you. The Don is like, hey, fight this boss. A boss appears. At this point in the game, and with no materia, it's pretty tough. The party kicks the monster's ass and are about to kick the Don's ass, but he's like, haha, I have this button that will make Alina and Yuffie fall to their deaths. Reno walks up and is like, shut the fuck up. You signed your own death warrant when you leaked that information. We're going to take care of you personally. Rude runs up behind him and throws something at the Don, I think. It is hard to tell what exactly happens here. But the Don falls over and clings to the cliff. Reno struts over and they have some cute dialogue and he stomps the Don's hand. The Don falls to his certain death. Cool.
Yay.
Well, he deserved it, so, like, yeah.
Reno gets a call from Shinra telling them they need to find Cloud and company. Reno turns to the party and says, we're off duty today. The Turks and the party save their respective damsels in distress. We cut to Yuffie's home, where she gives back all the materia, except she puts them in your weapons and armor at random, so you have to re-equip everyone, which is pretty funny. Yuffie starts monologuing about her misadventures, and the party leaves. When she notices they've gone, she runs after them, yelling, I don't care what you say. I'm coming with you. I won't mess up this time. The traitor Yuffie is still in the party. Awesome.
Yay.
Hopefully we don't have any other traitors this fucking episode.
That'd be so weird.
Anyway, the gang continues wandering around, and eventually they hear that Dio bought something called the Keystone, which legend says will unlock the Temple of the Ancients. Back to the gold saucer. The gang finds the Keystone on display. Dio walks up, and Cloud's like, hey, can I have your Keystone? Dio's like, no. Actually, if you fight in the battle arena, I'll let you have it. You don't even have to win or anything. Just do the minigame. Cloud's like, okay. We do the minigame and get the Keystone. The tram back to the surface is broken down, so the gang is stuck in the gold saucer for the night. Ketchi says he'll get them rooms at the horror-themed ghost hotel. The gang convenes in the lobby. Ketchi asks Cloud to explain everything that's happened since he wasn't here from the beginning. Sid and Vincent agree. Barrett's like, I have been here since the beginning, and I still don't know what the hell's going on. I love him.
He's so good.
Cloud explains a bunch of stuff we already know. They're going after Sephiroth, who's in search of the Promised Land, which Shinra also wants to get their hands on. Aerith says the elders at Cosmo Canyon told her that even the Cetra didn't know where the Promised Land was. It can only be sought after, and at some point you just know you found it. She also says that Sephiroth isn't just looking for the Promised Land, but the Black Materia. Ketchi is like, yeah, Dio mentioned that. I, the player, am like, this is the first I've heard of the Black Materia.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I have a notoriously bad memory, but I don't think anyone's mentioned it before. So I pull up the game's script, and I found that there is only one previous reference to it, and it's in an optional conversation with Dio during the first visit to the Gold Saucer. In this conversation, he says a fellow around Cloud's age who was wearing a black cape and had the tattoo of the number 1 on his hand came through asking about the Black Materia. So, yeah, this game likes to put plot-critical information in optional scenes.
Yay!
It's just foreshadowing for Kingdom Hearts, which puts plot-critical information in all sorts of random shit.
I would argue that Kingdom Hearts does not put plot-critical information much of anywhere.
Fair.
Anyway, Cloud's like, hey, what's with those cloak guys with the number tattoos anyway? Nanaki's like, Hojo gave me a tattoo of the number 13. Is that a thing? Aerith says she thinks the men in black cloaks were used by Hojo for something, but who knows what that has to do with Sephiroth. Aerith is about to say something else, but suddenly says she's tired and runs off to her room. The gang starts to disperse. Nanaki asks Cloud if he's going to go mad like the other number tattoo people. Tifa tries to encourage him, but does a really bad job of it. She says he's not the only one who's worried. Perhaps she is worried about someone too. Perhaps Cloud. Who can say? Later, Cloud stands alone in a room with 3 beds. There's a knock at the door. If you played the game wrong, Tifa, Yuffie, or Barrett enter. If you played the game right, Aerith enters.
Yay, I won.
Yes, you won. She bluntly asks Cloud on a date. Cloud is like, okay. She pushes him out of the door, and they go have a very silly scene in which they perform in a very silly play. That's not the spicy part, though. After the play, Aerith says they should go ride the gondola. The gondola travels through the gold saucer, wreathed in fireworks. After admiring the view for a while, Aerith says, first off, it bothered me how you looked exactly alike. 2 completely different people, but look exactly the same. The way you walk, gesture. I think I must have seen him again in you. But you're different. Things are different. Cloud, I'm searching for you. Cloud is confused. Aerith continues. I want to meet you. Cloud says, but I'm right here. Aerith says, I know. What I mean is, I want to meet you. The gondola returns to the station, and Aerith says next time they come here, they should try and go on all the rides, but it's getting late and they should head back. On their way back to the ghost hotel, they see Ketchi. He has the keystone. After that motherfucker.
Oh, shit.
They chase him down, but he's just too fast. They see him talking to Sung, who is hovering nearby on a helicopter. He throws the keystone to Sung, who then flies off. Cloud and Aerith confront Ketchi, who admits to being a Shinra spy. Cloud and Aerith are like, fuck you. Ketchi is like, let's just keep going on like nothing happened. Cloud's like, I'll fucking kill you. Ketchi is like, this body is just a toy being controlled from Shinra headquarters. Ketchi insists they're not entirely enemies. There's something about them which speaks to him. The way they're risking their lives and get nothing in return. He wouldn't feel right if things ended this way. Cloud's like, you're a fucking spy. We're not going to keep you in our fucking party. Ketchi is like, well, I prepared for this. He holds up a phone and they hear Marlene's voice through it. He's like, see, now that I have a child hostage, you have to be my friend.
Can I just say, this is the point, like, betrayal, sure, whatever. This is the point where I'm like, nah, fuck this guy. Like, Like, I could deal with betrayal. That's easily forgivable or whatever, but he'd have to do a lot to make up for kidnapping Marlene and holding her. Like, the idea of harming her over our heads like this. That's a bridge or three too far.
It's not cool. This is not the way to make friends, Ketchi. Ketchi's demand is that they simply continue on as normal. He says he'll tell them where the Temple of the Ancients is tomorrow. They'll get there after Shinra, so they'll just have to deal with that. Ketchi wanders off, and Aerith wonders, what about Elmira? Who was watching Marlene? What happened to her? I don't actually know. If we find out, I forget. The next morning, the gang decides who will be in the party going to the Temple of the Ancients. Aerith says she's going for sure, and I'm like, Aerith, honey, you know I would have put you in my party anyway. Ketchi gives some vague directions to the temple, and the party sets out. We will see what happens there next week. I'm sure nothing bad will happen next week.
Nothing bad at all. So yeah, let's listen to some more tiny sliver of Final Fantasy VII music, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments for the week. What a random selection of scenes. Half of them optional.
This game loves its optional content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have any memorable moments from this week.
I really like the date scene, and
extremely.
The date scene with Tifa is actually really interesting as well.
I don't think I've ever gotten Tifa's date scene.
I've never... I mean, you basically have to have a guide in front of you if you want anyone other than Aerith.
Yeah, Aerith starts with all the affection points already.
What happens with the Tifa one?
I am pulling up the script now.
Okay. I did just look up Elmira.
She's fine.
Yeah, she's
okay.
fine. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I don't know exactly where all this info comes from on the wiki, but it talks about Reeve informing her of the thing that may or may not happen next time. Who knows? Whether the biggest spoiler in the entirety of the video game medium is going to happen. Who knows?
Who can say?
Yeah. So...
So, I'll just read the Tifa scene.
Yeah.
So it starts out with just they're watching the fireworks and stuff. And I didn't know that there are optional FMVs in this scene. When your girlfriend says, "Oh, how pretty," or "Look," you can press I think it's left on the controller and look out the window and you see an optional FMV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all really cool.
Yep.
Anyway, after that, she says, "It's really pretty, isn't it?" Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Cloud says, "What?" Tifa says, "Aerith would be able to just come out and say it, probably." Cloud, "Sometimes being old friends is hard. I mean, timing is everything." Cloud says, "Yeah." Tifa says, "Cloud, I ... dot 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 dot."
The exact amount of dots?
Yes.
Good, cool.
So it's a very brief scene, but I love Tifa.
Mm-hmm.
Tifa is great.
Speaking of Tifa, so Bernard got me the Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania book for Christmas. and I was leafing through it, and I learned a really cool thing that makes a lot of sense. So, drawing a Tetsuya Nomura ass outfit is pretty easy. Animating one to be realistic is pretty hard if you don't know what it's like. So they made all of the costumes like in real life to get like footage of actors wearing them so they could see how properly to model it for the claw simulation and everything. So in Ultimania, it has like cosplay pictures of everyone's outfits. And for Tifa's outfit, it includes boob pads, like to make the boobs bigger, because no model on the face of the planet has Tifa-sized boobs. So all of their models had to stuff their bras so that they could see it properly for how Tifa looks, which I think is fantastic.
Remember when nerds were saying remake Tifa didn't have big enough boobs, and it was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Just a bunch of weirdos who are used to like hentai boobs that are 5 times the size of their head. Like,
yeah, it's wild. But the Ultimania book is really good. There's a lot of good shit in there. I recommend it if you like to learn how the sausage is made.
The scene where Cloud and Aerith go to see the play and they're like, you're the 100th couple, you get to be in the play, is really stupid.
Yes, it is. In a good way, very honestly.
I really enjoy how when characters enter, they are like pirouetting and somehow traveling while doing so. It's really good. And then at the very end, Cloud and Aerith also pirouette off the stage.
They did it for me. So
oh really?
Yeah. So it gives
maybe it depends on the choices you choose.
Yeah, so it gives you the option for things, right? And I chose because, as we remember, Cloud is not actually cool. He thinks he's cool. So I figured he would think he's too cool for this. So I picked the shitty little asshole answers for all of the things, where it's like, oh, who are you here to stop? And you're like, the princess. And things like that, where you just kind of tank it. Aerith gets pissed at you and will slap Cloud, and Cloud falls over. And then the dragon will be like, why aren't you paying attention to me? You're supposed to be fighting to me. And Aerith says, you shut up, and punches them off of the stage, grabs Cloud while he's laying down, and drags him off the stage. That's the end of it. It's fantastic.
Incredible. I would also like to note that the music from that play is also played in the background of, I believe, the play in the beginning of Final Fantasy IX. Or at least at some point, I remember, like, in Final Fantasy IX being like, hey, that's the Final Fantasy VII play music.
It does sound very Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, so I was watching YouTube while fast forwarding through the game to get caught back up today, and I was on the overworld, and the theme for Final Fantasy VII was playing right as somebody was using it as the background music in their YouTube video, and they like almost synced up, and it freaked me out.
Oh,
nice.
But there was something else.
A friend was showing me a cover of Hallelujah, and while they were showing me that cover of Hallelujah, another friend texted me a YouTube video of someone singing Hallelujah, but it's about Waluigi.
Yes, I have seen that. Hallelujah.
That's amazing.
Very good.
Oh, I remember another thing I really loved was the chase scene with Ketshi. 'cause he's always, it's like, they're playing like a ridiculous song in the background. It is laughable. And he's like hiding behind NPCs that are much smaller than he is. And it is slapstick and is more of they're making these tiny little Lego people be way more expressive than the HD ones in the next game. And I love it.
I was wondering how they're gonna do Ketchi in the remake trilogy, and I'm kind of hoping, like we've seen in remake, we briefly saw Ketchi's cat half, which if you haven't played the original game, that scene must be so baffling.
Oh gosh, I hadn't even thought of
that. But I'm hoping the Moogle robot is like really shitty.
Yeah.
And just like sort of clanks and clambers around.
Yeah, I can't even, now that I think about it, because like in this game, he hops around like VeggieTales style. They definitely cannot do that in quite the same way in the remake.
I mean, everything that I was like, I don't know how they're going to do that in the remake, they did beautifully. So I trust them.
I have faith in them. I'm just puzzled how until...
What if Ketchi is a Moogle Gundam?
That's silly.
That's very silly.
Well, let's see. I liked finding out, because somewhere in here, when we're talking to Sid, he mentions that Shinra made its fortune originally, like before Mako Energy and stuff, as a weapons manufacturer. So, like, made its fortune off war profiteering, of course. Just the most unsurprising thing. There's a whole lot of the, like, capitalism commentary in that whole bit in general, like the fact that they were interested in space exploration until it became clear that Mako would make them more money, so they were like, whatever, like, screw it, we're just going to do the thing that makes us more money instead of the thing that advances us as a species, let's see. I love the Palmer battle, and I love him just running off at the end and then getting hit by a truck. It's very good. I will say in general, okay, Sid is great. I love Sid. He's a grumpy old asshole man, and he's great. I still am just not really here for how he treats Shara. Like,
not at all.
It's legitimately kind of upsetting, especially considering that not only does she live with him, but I don't want to get too far into spoilers, but like, despite him being like, she's not my wife, but there is romantic subtext there, especially in the long term. But even if there wasn't, she lives with him. This would be domestic abuse. Like, it's kind of fucked up. I brought that up in my video, and I have had an embarrassing amount of comments from people being like, well, actually, it's fine that Sid treats her like shit. Or, and like, it's not. It's if the game addressed it in some manner, then sure, but it doesn't really. He has an arc involving him realizing how much of an asshole he's been, but it really just does not address the fact that he is an abuser, basically, a domestic abuser, and that's messed up. I don't think that it's supposed to be... I don't think it's supposed to reflect on him that badly. Like, I don't think that it brought in issues of domestic abuse and didn't, address them. I think that it just kind of accidentally depicted him as worse than it meant to, but still, it's uncomfy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, even if there was no romantic subtext, even if he was just her boss, he would still kind of be shitty for all of the garbage that he's doing. So, it's really no excuse whatsoever.
Yeah. Had a lot of comments too being like, oh, these woke snowflakes, like, you can't just have like bad things happen in a story or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's fine. It's just that it doesn't address it. Like, there's just no point in the story where it like acknowledges that that's messed up and deals with it in any way. And that just sucks. But aside from that, Sid is great. I love him. He has a great theme. The music as always is just fantastic. And, one of those characters, too, that you connect with a lot more when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not that he's actually an old man at 32, but, you know, as a kid, you know, if you're playing through this game relatively young, then you're not really going to connect all that well with someone who, like, had dreams and ideas about his future, about his life that just didn't work out and don't look like they're gonna. But, you know, by the time you're a little ways into adulthood, not even all that far into adulthood, 32 is not too far off, honestly. You start realizing that that's not necessarily how life works, and, you know, just a lot more relatable now. So, yeah. Let's see, what else do I have here? I do love how when, like, immediately after Ketchi throws the keystone to Shinra, is just like, whatever, how about we just go on like nothing ever happened? Like, it's just immediately like, hey, just forget I did this, whatever, who cares? Obviously not how that works. But there's also a nice little bit here where he mentions that, like, despite betraying them, he's a little weirded out at the fact that they're not paid to do this, no one praises them or anything, but they still risk their lives for what they're doing. And that is, like, confusing and makes him think. Knowing what I forget, is it spoilers to say who Ketchi is?
Yes.
Okay. Knowing what we know, like, this is an important thing for the closest Ketchi gets to an actual arc. You know, we'll get into a little bit more of that next time, I guess. But, you know, it's a nice start. It's one of the few moments with Ketchi that is actually, like, that feels genuine to me. Overall, he's far and away my least favorite character. I think that he gets the least, like, meaningful development, and none of it really overcomes the whole "we'll hurt Marlene if you don't work with me" thing. But,
yeah.
But, you know, there are bits of him that I can see as part of, like, a functional character arc and stuff, and that this is a nice little peek into that. So, you know.
Yeah, and he's my least favorite, not only because he's threatening children, but he joins the party by being like, hey, I'm going to join you now. Then he betrays the party and is like, I'm just going to continue with you anyways. And it's baffling both times, which makes him just be like, okay, well, he's like a non-entity to me now. Like, this is a thing that's happening because I'm in a video game, not because of plot reasons. We needed a big weird character because you get your big weird character at about this part of every game. So here you go. And it didn't feel like important.
I can sort of understand him still going with them, if only because, for one, he's going to monitor them. Theoretically, at least, he's reporting back to Shinra the whole time. I think that's acknowledged, too, at some point, that he is still reporting to Shinra on what they're doing. And also, I think that there's at least supposed to be an element of genuine, like, curiosity, that he's doing this because he's supposed to, because he's reporting back to Shinra, but also because he is compelled by these people and wants to continue seeing what they're going to do, sees something in them that he wishes he saw in himself. It's one of those things that I think isn't developed as well as it could be, but I do think it's there. And theoretically, that's an interesting dynamic, at least. So something that I'm sure, considering how well they've done with this so far, they'll emphasize a little bit more in Remake. But Rebirth, yeah.
Yeah, it's just as it is right now, he's the weird, silly character that kind of just insists he's in the party. So I never cared about him. So then later down the line, when we figure out his whole deal or whatever, it's just like, cool, I guess. And not necessarily like a development that I care about.
That's fair. I care about that development, all right. What I don't care about is the thing that happens with him when we're going to talk about him next week. I think that's, like, one of the worst Ketchi moments in terms of storytelling, but we'll get to it.
Can't wait for Ketchi to be everyone's favorite character in Rebirth.
Absolutely.
honestly, like I have faith in them in terms of the character stuff, just in general. I'm sure that they could make Ketchy a way better character in Rebirth. So we'll see.
And it's not like the original Aerith was bad, but so many people were like turned around on Aerith so much in remake, and now that they just have to do it to hard mode and make us turn around on Ketchy.
I really think it's just the people bought into the like popular conception of Aerith instead of the actual Aerith that is in the game, just like they did with Cloud, calling him an emo protagonist and stuff like that. Like, people saw Aerith for who she really is in remake and were like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, now that I think about it, we have all the characters involved, which means that it is theoretically time for me to put together my poly shipping chart, except that I haven't done it yet. So I'll try and get that ready for next time. Though, frankly, I don't know how interesting this one's going to be. All these characters are fairly independent, with the exception of the obvious triad of Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't...
Yeah,
I don't know.
I honestly can't even think of anyone else in the party like hooking up at all.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I might have to just do that triad, have everyone else alone, and then like speculate on some crack ships, like I don't know, Vincent and Barrett.
What we can do is we can discuss how great the triad is, come up with crack ships, and then see who can which of the crack ships has the most entries on Archive of Our Own for fan fiction.
Oh no! Oh, you're right. I want to look that up right now, but I'm not going to. I'll save it for that.
Yeah.
So it occurs to me too, I'll have to wait to do any of that until Maddie's here too. I think that would be sad if Maddie wasn't here for that. So,
but Maddie will probably be here next week because it's an important week, and because it's an important week, we probably shouldn't end it with looking up Vincent and Red 13 smut.
Look, it's just comic relief. It's very much necessary comic relief for what's going to happen next time. Also, though, Red 13 and Yuffie will not be in my poly shipping anyway, on account of them both being underage. So.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Every time Maddie's not here, our episodes are half as long.
Oh, I will say one more thing. It's only tangentially related, but since we were talking about Yuffie so much, well, for one, having an entire optional arc just to give Don Corneo his comeuppance is great, and I appreciate it. Screw that guy, he sucks. But also, I have been playing the remake of Crisis Core and completely forgot that Yuffie's in it. Just absolutely forgot. And it's fucking adorable. For this minor spoilers, but like your first thing with her is Zack is in Wutai and she shows up and she's like, she's like a child, like way more of a child because this is a prequel. She just shows up like, yeah, I'm gonna get the bad guy, and she just walks up to Zack and punches him, and he's like, what do I, because she's just punching at him. He's like, what do I do? And then he just is like, oh, you got me, and just like falls on the ground. She's like, yeah, and runs away.
Have either
and then
of
she
you
shows up in some treasure hunting stuff afterwards and continues to be very cute. She like runs up in her Naruto run, goes zoom, 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 and steals something, and then goes zoom, 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 and runs off. She's just adorable, and I love her. Sorry, what were you saying?
Have either of you played Yuffie's game yet?
No.
The remake.
Oh, the remake
DLC?
one? I still haven't. I
haven't either.
I'm gonna have to do that sometime before. Sometime before we're done with this, I guess, so that I can comment on it.
Yeah. How do you feel about Zack's voice acting in Crisis Core Remake?
It is pretty good for a 2009 PSP game. It is.
It's a new voice actor.
Oh, wait, really? Is it? Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, like, it's not
and
bad.
A lot of people don't like him. That's why I'm asking.
Interesting. He's not bad, but he matches the game's overall voice acting tone, which is extremely 2009. Like, which I think is good, if only because, like, if he was voice acted in the same style as, like, the remake characters, it would be very different from how everyone else is voiced. Because it really does feel like, a 2009 PSP game in terms of how the voices are presented and stuff. So if Zach was less kind of hammy, it would be weird.
Does he still say, me, Gongaga?
He says, me, Gungaga.
I don't know.
I looked up a comparison of the scene.
Oh, okay. Fun.
Ew.
But yeah,
I will say they redid. My partner was watching me play and was like, I didn't know Zach was this much of a doof.
Mm-hmm.
But that's accurate regardless. So I sorry, go on.
Yeah, but I am pretty sure they redid a lot of the voice acting in the Crisis Core remake to match the actors in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
They did.
Interesting, okay. I mean, didn't they also... Because the original game wasn't fully voiced on the PSP, was it?
I don't know. I haven't played it.
Okay, because if I remember right, it was not, and it is now, which would mean that they'd have to redo some of the voice acting because otherwise, you'd have different voice actors in some lines than others. But I guess I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't played Crisis Core since it came out on the PSP, but I'm pretty sure the PSP game was not fully voiced.
I don't know. I have played the opening mission to test out various emulators a bunch of times, but I've never actually beat Crisis Core. And now there's a remake, and I have to decide if I want to finish emulating it or get the new shiny one.
I mean, honestly, the new shiny one is better in terms of gameplay and stuff in general also, so probably just do that.
Yeah, probably so. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. If you liked what you heard today and you want to help us offset the costs of running the show, head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations are put back into the show to make it better, offset hosting costs and the like. If you donate $1 or more a month, you'll get access to our Book Club no Kaseki episodes a month before everyone else, as well as be able to vote on our polls that decide what game we play next, like the one we have going on right now. Covering Bernard's auto-RPGs, either Skies of Arcadia or Paper Mario. If you bump up your monthly contribution to $5 a month, you'll also get your name shouted out at the end of every episode, much like this. Shoutouts to Kaldron, Freddie Rodriguez, Bernie L. Taylor, AA Ron 524, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, and Doho. And if you like us a whole lot and bump up your monthly donation to $20 a month, we'll not only read your name, but give you a one-sentence shout-out to whatever you want. The idea is for this to be a URL for your Twitch stream or your YouTube channel, or just to make me say something stupid. We have two luminaries. Eliza Tantivy is one of them, and they want you to check out critical-distance.com. It's an aggregator for good games criticism and journalism. And our other current luminary, Carr, is a dentist, so his shout-out is not for a Twitch stream, but for your own mouth. He asks that you brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
I am the other Sam.
Toodaloo, folks.